tiny fragments from man-made fabrics, plastic packaging, and even tea bags. Microplastics can be microscopically small, nearly invisible, but everywhere, from oceans to Antarctic ice, even in fish and food we eat. So perhaps it's no surprise they're in us too.
Microplastics are everywhere.
From placental and lung tissue to
Inside the brain.
plastic appears to be colonising our body.
A recent report found 7 grams of microplastics inside a human brain, the equivalent of a plastic spoon. Yael is the boss of a London-based company,
Hi.
which is the first in the world promising to remove microplastics from your blood.
I have levels of all 3 particle size of microplastics in my blood.
I'm guessing as someone who's conscious of these things, you try and avoid them in natural life.
Absolutely. We're drinking out of glass bottles, we're not cooking in Teflon, we're doing the things that we know we can, but it's everywhere.
Just going to give you a bit of fluid.
Thank you.
Today, she's trying the treatment on herself
We're going to be taking some blood out and putting some blood back into you.
for the first time.
We take out microplastics, forever chemicals.
The procedure is similar to dialysis, but uses a custom-built filter.
So what we're doing is we're taking blood out of your arm, putting it through a Terumo machine which splits the blood into 2 components. One is red blood cells, the other one is plasma. Plasma goes into our column, which is where all the magic happens. That's where we're taking out the microplastics, the forever chemicals and the poisons and toxins out of your plasma. It comes back into the unit, combines and back into your other arm.
The question is, why?
Antonio Belli, B-E-L-L-I.
Professor Belli is an NHS brain surgeon who's joined the team.
What are your concerns about microplastics?
What we're getting is some almost weekly papers showing an association between microplastics and some of the most common conditions that affect the human race. Dementia, low fertility in both men and women. Cardiovascular disease has also been linked to microplastics and chemicals and certain type of cancers as well.
It's a private treatment. The whole procedure takes a couple of hours and costs £10,000. For best results, that may need to be repeated every year.
Wow. So for the rich people.
GP Dr. Mukherjee is sceptical about the procedure's value and effectiveness.
What's their justification for £10,000 if it's a 2-hour job? In general practice and in most of the NHS, we would want evidence. Every procedure has possible side effects. I hope they've done studies on it. And until I saw that evidence, I would not advise any of my patients to do that.
What would you say to people who say this is a gimmick and it's a very expensive one at that?
I'd say they should look at the research and the results. The research from very prestigious journals is showing we are taking microplastics out.
As for safety, the company says the large machines are used routinely in hospital and the filters have approval.
I'm just going to do the finger prick test.
Okay. Before leaving, I have a sample of my blood taken.
And we are done.
6 weeks later, I'm back to see my results and how Yael's got on.
When I started, I had 50 total particles. So that is 500 particles per milliliter of blood. Immediately after, I had 5 total particles.
Okay.
So I had a 90% reduction.
Big question. What about my results?
So you actually have the lowest microplastics of anyone we've tested so far. You
Really?
have 6 particles pre.
Why is it low for me?
It's a combination of lifestyle, good choices, and of genetics.
As much luck as judgment. In truth, it is impossible to avoid microplastics altogether, but small changes could cut your exposure. For starters, choosing glass or metal bottles and Tupperware rather than plastic, and opting for natural fibre clothes rather than synthetics. Martin Stew, ITV News.